Hi guys and welcome to Rathwulven Bushcraft. Thanks a lot for tuning in, because this video is going to be a pretty interesting one, at least in my opinion, because I want to talk about sharpening convex geometry type of blades, like for example this Falconeven F1 knife, very popular knife. And if you have been around and you've been experimenting with a couple of knives, you probably know how to sharpen a Scandi grind like this, right? With this typical Scandi geometry, which basically has a bevel that goes like that, just like a triangular shape that goes up to a tip and then gets this pointy end of the bevel that actually cuts. Maybe you also sharpened knives like the Swiss Army knife, which have a flat grind, so basically narrows down like this and then gets an even narrower bevel like so, but also basically triangular in shape. And at some point, you know, if you get to convex knives or convex blades, you quickly realize that those can be really frustrating, because you got this very round bevel that just, yeah, goes like this. It's basically like a round shape that gets into this tip, and it can become pretty frustrating if you use tools like this pocket sharpener, for example, a guided field sharpener from Worksharp, or like a DC4 stone. Because if you would sharpen a Scandi knife, just for a demonstration here, you could just put that flat on your stone, right? And move it alongside the stone, just like so. And it would automatically follow that flat surface, because we got a flat surface here and we got a flat surface here, right? Same with this one. That's pretty easy. Also with these knives, pretty easy, because those here are guided. So you can just put it on this angle and just drag it, just like so. But of course, if we got this convex edge right here, it doesn't really work, because you can't just pull it over there and expect it to be rounded, right? So in the beginning, that was really frustrating to me, because I tried to figure out a way to make that work. And I messed up a couple of knives just by using stones and by practicing. And I'm still not proficient in using stones when it comes to convex blades. So I have to be really honest here. What I'm going to show you is kind of like a solution for the lazy person, or for somebody who just wants an easy way out. And I was doing a bit of research, and then at some point you get to the so-called mousepad method, which basically means that you take a piece of mousepad, a foam pad, and you put some sandpaper on top. Just imagine there would be a piece of sandpaper that would just, yeah, scratch on the surface of your knife blade. And then you could just pull it like this. And due to the low resistance or the very soft texture, it would just basically align with the geometry of the blade, right? So if that's round, you would basically have an imprint in here and could just pull it along. But it's not a good way to sharpen your knife, because sandpaper in general is an abrasive that basically does do the abrasion by scratching your surface. And at some point, while doing some research, I learned about a material which is called micro mesh. And that's a tip for you, because this is what it looks like. Let me just get the knives out of the way. It's basically those silicone type of like pads that do have some sort of grain in there, kind of like crystals. I don't know if you can see that. If you just turn it, it's kind of like reflecting, as if you had some kind of sand, kind of crystal-like grain in there. And they do come in a variety of grains also. We do have 1800 here, and then it goes up by 2400 to 3200, 6000, 8000, 12,000. Yeah, and here's also the 4000, which should be in the middle here. And basically what that material is all about, if you would place your knife on top of that, those crystals here would kind of like sink into that silicone or latex kind of like layer in here, and basically hollow out the blade. Basically, it's not scratching by means of having kind of like those micro bevels on there, but it's more kind of like removing it as if you would do it with a fingernail. So it's a different type of scratching. I hope you know what I mean. And it's a little nicer for your blade, simply because it doesn't wear off that much, and it's by far more smooth. And what's also really great about these here is they do come with a foam layer in between. So kind of like you got this mouse pad thing right integrated here, which basically keeps the imprint. What's also pretty nice about this micro mesh is that it lasts about 10 to 15 times longer than regular sandpaper you can buy in the hardware store. So by having that side and this one, I basically get about 30 times as much of a lifespan as with regular sandpaper. And one of those pads is about €2.20. So with 7 pads in total, let's just say you would pay around 15 to 16 euros, excluding shipping costs. Like that altogether cost me like 25 euros, which is still cheaper than the DC4 stone and also cheaper than this guided sharpener here, which are both great tools by the way, but nevertheless, for less money than those, I got some 7 different types of grit, you know, that can basically help me sharp that knife up to the point that I can polish it really nicely and get a super sharp edge to that. And for a knife that's worth a couple of €100, this is really a great investment. But yeah, let's just get to the practical part, right? So how do you do that? It's pretty simple. You take one of these grits, let's just take the 4000, and then you place your knife right on top like this. Just don't touch it and just let it sink into the pad. Because what you will see is that the knife as such is heavy enough to just press down on that latex kind of layer or that silicone layer. And if you would pull that then, it would just follow the geometry. So what you would need to do is lay it down, apply no pressure, then just slightly tilt it like so. I'm doing it exaggerated right now, but just up until the point that your blade edge, your bevel right here, is basically touching the surface. And then you would just pull backwards, and while doing so, turning it at 90 degrees. The best thing to do is to basically put that back on the edge of a table, just like here. Because what you can do then is just lay it down. You can get it right behind here if you can see this. And then just pull it and turn it at 90 degrees. It's really important that you don't lift your knife because the pad does the work all by itself. If you pull and you lift it up like that, you will not get the initial edge that you already had. You need to let the knife do the work on the pad. So basically you just pull it without pressure and then you turn your hand in like so. Let's try that again. Like this. And then just turn it in like so. Of course it works better if we do that here. Let's just give a proper demonstration. You pull it, let that do the work. And as you can see, the tip is on there. And then you just pull off. And you will get a really smooth finish all along that entire blade without having any bumps right here. This happens to a lot of beginners, right? Maybe you had this experience before, that you were just pulling off here and that for some reason you couldn't get it sharp at the tip. And it's a really easy way to do because you can't really make any mistakes. You will need to practice a bit in order to get the feeling, but you don't need to become like super careful, for example, like with the stone, where you kind of like have the problem with the play right here, right? And just to give you another demonstration how sharp that is, like this is sharpened up to the 8000 course, I think, or did I take the 12,000? I'm not quite sure, but I polish it up quite nicely. Let's just take that here, tiny piece of oak. Let's just see if we can get really nice curls out of that. Let's just focus on that. Does a really nice job. And there's no pressure applied, see? You could do really nice work with a properly sharpened knife. Yeah, and I hope that that helps you, because you can try a lot of things, you know, you can invest a lot of money in awesome stones, and you can also learn how to use them, yes, but it will take time and a lot of financial investment also, and there will also be a lot of frustration, whereas if you just use this method, you don't even have to, you know, do some kind of crazy stunts with the mouse pad and then just, you know, gluing on sandpaper and such, which will only harm your blade more than this actual micro mesh thing. Micro mesh is also available just as sheets, so you know that. You don't have to buy them with this foam. I just do so out of, yeah, reasons of convenience. But I hope that the tips really help you, because in the end you want to use your knife for as much as you can. A knife is a tool, right? Okay, so to wrap it up, a couple of final thoughts on the micro mesh. You might ask yourself, what about a stropping leather? Well, I'm using the 8000 and the 12,000 as a substitute for that. You can polish your knife really nicely just with the two pads here. And actually on that knife I didn't use any kind of leather polish or any kind of stropping, including some kind of polishing substance at all. I just get a really great finish, as you could also see with the test here with the tiny piece of wood. Also interesting about these things, I will put a link in the video info box so you can see where you could order them, but you could also just have a look at your local music store if you want to. Because these pads are also used for building instruments. For example, guitar bodies or bass bodies, violin bodies are kind of treated with these type of pads, so you get the smooth finish and you can get a really nice touch to the wood of an instrument, right? So probably your local music store might have at least those sheets I was talking about. Just go there and ask them. Great way to go for that micro mesh. And besides that, I can only say thanks again for watching. Also, if you liked the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Please leave a comment if you enjoyed that. If you have any questions or any remarks on what I've been telling you, just post it in the comment section below, right? And if you would stick around with the channel, that would be awesome, so don't forget to subscribe and hit the tiny notification bell. And up until then, I would just say have fun with your knife, take good care of them of course, get outside and enjoy the outdoors, right? See you next time, bye bye.